Being a billionaire looks pretty easy. Fancy yachts, fast cars, and of course the mansions. But what about becoming a billionaire? Unless you've been born into royalty, it's not an easy road. It takes hard work, dedication, investors, and most importantly, one great idea. It can take years of failure and hearing the word no before you strike gold. What stops most people is only going to propel the lucky and persistent few to the list of world billionaires. In today's video, we're looking at the humble beginnings of 5 billionaires and who they were before they became rich. Jeff Bezos, former CEO of Amazon, worth almost $200 billion, was born when his mom was just 16 years old and spent his summers as a youth with his grandparents. Never one to shy away from a hard day's work, he repaired windmills and worked with farm animals. Bezos was also a star student and the valedictorian at his high school. He even received early admission to Princeton University to study theoretical physics. But something happened that would change the course of both his life and the world forever. Working in the finance pre-dot-com boom, Jeff Bezos noticed how humans were interacting with technology and the internet. He'd never seen anything like it before and knew it would continue to grow in unprecedented ways. So when he was 30 years old, Bezos took the enormous risk of quitting his well-paying job to start selling books online. He named his company Amazon.com. The only person working at his startup, Jeff Bezos drove each and every delivery to the post office himself. But he knew that he needed to sell more than books, so he started selling music and movies to grow the business. And boy, did it ever. So what should he sell next? Well, who better to come up with that answer than his customers? They wanted everything. What set him apart from other online early businesses was that Amazon wasn't focused on crushing the competition. No, they were focused on making their customers happy. And make them happy they did. Well, we all know how that story ended. Today, Amazon is one of the biggest retail empires in the world, and it's clear they're not going anywhere. Elon Musk, the head of Tesla, SpaceX, and The Boring Company, and one of the coolest guys around, Elon Musk. But he wasn't always the flame-throwing, space-traveling man that we've come to know. Musk was born in South Africa in the 1970s. One of 3 siblings, it's safe to say that the whole Musk family was full of ambition. His brother grew up to be a successful venture capitalist, and his sister a well-known film director and producer. But when he was young, Musk was bullied in school and kept his nose in his comic books. Yeah, when he was a kid, Elon Musk was a total nerd like the rest of us. But when he was 10 years old in the 80s, he learned computer programming and made his first video game, which he later sold for $500. Beat selling lemonade on the corner. He even tried to open an arcade with his brother, but his parents wouldn't let it happen. But what they were able to do was start Zip2, a web software company that helped local newspapers create online city guides. Elon, along with his brother Kimball, were able to sell Zip2 for over $300 million. That's a lot of quarters. It was when Musk moved to the States to finish school when things started to get crazy. One of the first things he did was buy a 10-room house with his friend and turn it into a nightclub. But he still managed to graduate with a degree in physics, which would lay the foundation for the work he's so well known for today. Musk would use his millions from Zip2 to start a website called X.com. But it's not what you're thinking. X.com was a banking website that would merge with another company called Confinity, and the result became PayPal. But in true Elon Musk fashion, he was too much for the folks at PayPal and was forced to leave the company. But that's okay, because he began funding a new startup that focused on electric cars. And the rest, well, isn't history just yet, because that story is still unfolding and becoming more and more exciting every day. Bill Gates. A household name for as long as we can remember, Microsoft's Bill Gates was born in 1955 and had a competitive drive from the get-go. He would put together family competitions and was big into playing and winning board games. It may sound silly, but the drive to always win in Monopoly is what helped propel him to the top of the food chain. Young Bill Gates was also a total bookworm, even diving into things like reference books and encyclopedias. All he wanted to do was read. So much so, in fact, that his parents became worried about his antisocial behavior. But don't worry, Mom and Dad, I'm just creating the biggest piece of software ever known. When he was 13 years old, Bill's parents sent him to prep school in hopes of being able to give him the academic challenge he needed. Boy, did it ever! He excelled in literally every subject, but things got even more interesting when the school got a computer. Purchased from a rummage sale, he spent all of his free time on the new computer and even created a tic-tac-toe game that would let his classmates play against the computer. It's not Fortnite, but in 1968 this was a pretty big deal. It was here that Gates would also meet his future business partner, Paul Allen, and the two youngsters would spend all day on the school computer, hacking, exploiting glitches, and getting into trouble. He finally graduated from high school, scoring just under 1,600 on the SAT, and moved on to Harvard. Originally a law student, Bill Gates' time at Harvard didn't last very long, dropping out after just 2 years to focus on Microsoft. Believe it or not, his grades barely cut it at Harvard, spending most of his free time on programming with Allen. But grades don't matter when you create a software company as influential as Microsoft. Mark Zuckerberg. Fellow Ivy League computer nerd and former youngest billionaire Mark Zuckerberg. Born in 1984 in the suburbs of New York, Zuckerberg is another one who took to computers at an early age. He got his first computer when he was 10 years old, and in just 2 years he created a messenger software he called ZuckNet. His father installed ZuckNet on his computer at the office, and it allowed him to send messages back and forth with the receptionist. Pretty cool, considering most offices use something like the program today. His father got him a tutor to teach him to program, and he even developed a few games since he was, after all, just a kid. When Zuckerberg was in high school, MP3s and MP3 players were on the rise, so he created a program that would use AI to guess what music you're interested in, and then make you a personal playlist, something we're all using today. Pretty amazing. Of course, this sort of innovation caught the eyes of a few IT companies who offered Zuckerberg plenty of cash for the software, and even jobs at their companies. But naturally, he turned them all down. He knew he could do better and go bigger, and we all know how that turned out. Warren Buffett. What would be a list of billionaires without Warren Buffett? The Oracle of Omaha was born in 1930 to a congressman and stockbroker. Often called a mathematical prodigy, he'd employ his skills to earn him almost $100 billion in his lifetime. He would play at his father's brokerage office and made his first investment when he was just 11 years old. He watched his very small investment drop considerably, but held fast when he finally turned a profit. When he was 13, he worked as a paperboy and sold horse racing tip sheets. He filed for taxes for the first time that same year and made sure to write off his bicycle as a business expense. Smart kid. A young Buffett was always looking for ways to make money, even putting used pinball machines in barbershops and turning a $1,200 profit in the end. He'd go on to study business and economics and started an investment firm back in Omaha when he was 26. It was here that he'd earn his first million. He had a knack for finding undervalued stocks and knowing when to invest. One such investment was in a company called Berkshire Hathaway. And well, the rest is history. Every billionaire has to start somewhere, and while so many of them seem like an overnight success, that just isn't the case. It's the desire to learn, an eye for innovation, and the drive to succeed no matter what that sets them apart from the rest. It doesn't matter if you're a 10-year-old making computer games or a 30-year-old selling books online, you have to do something that no one has ever done before. But did we miss the amazing backstory of another billionaire? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Remember to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe to Insane Luxury if you want to see more videos like this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time.